Hey guys, in this one we're back on Orange Roughy, and we're going to maybe not finish but get a good portion of the way through the drawbar, so we'll crack into it right now. Alright, I finally managed to get the right steel, which is a 75 by 40 by 4. It's only a millimetre difference from that big length I had in the last video, but you've got to do it. And unfortunately this stuff's $38 a metre, so it wasn't cheap. And what I've done is I've just, as you can see, put it on, laid it out on the bench, and I'm trying to replicate this, the right angles. So I'm just running along, all the way along, and making sure we're level, which we are. I've done that on both sides, and what I've ended up with is a bit of a gap in the middle. Now I've noticed on this one and on the 2000 they've actually cut it flush and put a plate on it. Maybe that's just for aesthetics, I don't know, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave it open, and I'm going to get a bit of probably 40 mil and weld that in the middle, and that'll come out, and that's where the safety chain will go through. And I'm going to leave that open so it's easy to get lighting cables and all that sort of thing through.
What happens if water gets in there?
Well, the beauty of having it open is that it can dry out. But the way they've done it there, I don't agree with it because it traps moisture inside. And in all the lightweights, this is probably the only part of the chassis that's closed, and this is the part in all lightweights which rusts the most. Just underneath here, I've laid it out. This Caravan's not sitting obviously quite level on the hoist, but close enough. And what I've done is I'm running this along until it meets with there. And I'm going to cut it short because when it, I want to get a weld across the back here as well. So what I'm going to do, I've done it on both sides, and we'll take whatever the most common measurement is, and I'm going to cut that off now. Then I'll lay it back and we'll start tacking it up. Alright, I've marked our length, so we're going to have to cut a little bit off, probably about 70 mil or something. I'm going to cut them together just to make sure that they're exactly the same length. Just want to make sure. Put there. Make some noise.
Turn down your volume right now. Oh, that kind of scared me right there. Oh, here we go now. That was awesome. You see all the sparks? That was cool. I love sparks.
Yeah, she's pretty thick, eh? This 4 mil. Took the old saw a bit. It was a bit harder.
Oh, that's quite old.
The saw?
Yeah.
Oh, not really.
Is it a good saw?
Yeah.
How much was it?
I think it was like 140. I went to Bunnings one day to buy a window catch, and I came home with this. Can't remember, a couple $100 or something. All right. Just might die grind that up a little bit.
Is it a good saw?
Yeah, it is a good saw.
It's like a drop saw if it had a big brother.
It's built multiple trailers, big caravan chassis, and all sorts of other projects.
It built that trailer there.
Alright,
Oh.
just tidy it up a little bit, and then we go. Right. Alright.
That's quite nice.
Alright, I'll line it up. Again, I won't bore you with me lining it up, but we'll get it lined up, hopefully it all fits. And then we'll come back and record when we're taking it up. I'm having trouble lining this thing up to a point where I'm comfortable with it. We're clamping this on, but whether it's clamping 100% true or not, I don't know. So basically what I'm going to do, and even when I line this up, if you come around here, there's a massive gap there. Okay, which that's obviously not going to work, and that may be why they put the big plate over the top. In fact, it is when I look underneath. And we're not going to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure they're at an equal point on the back, and I'm just going to pull them together so they're only 40 mil apart. Not 40 mil, sorry, 5 mil apart, because that's the material I'm going to use at the moment. That's like 20. So they will come in a little bit, but it'll be hardly noticeable. And in order to get them exactly the same length, the other problem I'm having is if you have a look at here, that's got a piece of steel on it, and that one's completely rotted out. So I can't get that even as much as I'd like to as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come underneath it, if you just follow me underneath. And we're going to line it up so it hits flush here with the rail, flush-ish, and then I'm going to take a measurement from there to, if you have a look at the tape measure there, the inside of this rail here, can you see that?
Not really. Oh, there you go.
Which is 485. Now if I do the same on the other side, we should be, and knowing that these rails are exactly the same length, we should be about right. So I'm going to have a play with that now. Alright, this thing's still been a real pain. If you have a look at, this one's fine, but this one is cocked over that way. And as soon as I clamp it against the back of that chassis, it just pushes it over so it's not sitting true. So it's a bit of a pain really. I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm not going to be able to clamp it to the chassis. I might have to see if I can find another jack somewhere where I can...
This is a jack.
Yeah, just jack it up just underneath there so it's not clamped to the chassis, because the chassis is obviously not 100% true and it's cocking it one way.
Like, as you can see, this is not even touching that.
No, it's a night. It's a bit of a pain. So, yeah, I might just have a play with that. Okay, I'll come back. We've played around a little bit, and I've actually, what I should have done in the first place was got a nice flat edge and clamped to that. So we've done that now, so that's sitting a lot squarer, that bit there, to what it was. I've made the gap 5 mil, so, or near, sort of near enough too. So that'll come up in there, when we put the top plate on, it'll go in there, and we'll, because if I was to put those together and weld down, that's a really, really thin little gap. But putting that on, one, it gives me something to put the safety chain through, and also it gives me something a bit more solid to weld to down here, and it gives us an extra weld on the top when we put the top plate on it. So I've lined that up, and underneath we're lined up on the edge of that rail.
You can see better without the torch.
Oh, can you? Okay, and if you might need this for the, and we're running 485. Is that coming out all right? If you see there, that's 485 basically to that beam, which I've got there.
You can't really see that.
You see it now?
No.
They'll take my word for it. Right. And on the other side, same thing. Well, that's the edge of that rail. And I'll put the light up there actually. How's that?
Magnet.
And if I go down to that rail, we are 485 down to there as well. So we're nice and square. Well, not square, but we're where it needs to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tack weld here and here on both sides, and that's going to keep that frozen where it is. And I'm going to find just another piece of scrap steel to go under there. Hopefully I've got something long enough. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing. And then once that's all tacked together, then we can lower it down off the from where it is and weld it up. That's the plan. All right, I'm going to tack that up now. All right, I've put some supports in here and I've tacked it into place, and I'll put some really heavy tack welds in it. So I think we'll just undo this and see what happens, really. Okay, nothing went bang there. Let's do this other one. Hopefully everything's still sitting in shape. Sort of. All right. I'm just going to whack this hoist up, and everything should sort of stay there. Oh, okay. Need a block.
Everything should sort of stay there.
Just that gas line's tripped.
It's a pain, that gas line, eh?
It's a pain in the ass, yes it is. So, the idea is, and I'm going to put some more tack welds here and here, and here and here, as it should hold it in shape while I'm welding it. And what's going to happen is, but I need to use on, to show you, I'm using as a support here. So this is going to get welded
Tonight.
No, but basically it's going to come, I'm not sure how far forward it sits, a reasonable amount. I'll have to check it with our Caravan, and this will come up basically in the middle of those. It will be welded together as a probably come up more up sort of so. And I'll have to just see on our one. But basically that's what your coupling bolts to, so we can get really nice welds through there and through there. And because it's off the you know, off here, I can tip it upside down and do some nice welds underneath and all that sort of thing. So probably the next thing I'll do is I'll get some channel section. I'll measure it on our Caravan, and I'm going to put the gas bottle support in here and solidly weld that. Yeah, and then I'll tip it upside down and probably get this welded on. Oh no, I won't weld that on until after it's welded in place, because I want to still lift it back up and make sure we're right here, which we should be. So yeah, that should do us for tonight. We'll have another play with it tomorrow afternoon. Hey guys, it's actually 2 days later now, and I've finally managed to get back on this drawbar. So what I'm going to do is we're going to start putting the gas bottle support in. As I said before, we're just going to replicate this drawbar. So what I've done, I'm using channel section on the one I'm building, and this one has got 65 by 35 RHS. So it's like a 10mm difference. So what I've done to make it reasonably accurate, and I'm trying to get the distance from here to the front. So I've measured to the center of this on the new one, and double check the drawbars are the same length so the gas bottle doesn't hit the front panel. So I found a piece of channel that I had lying around. I'm just going to get it prepped now. Okay, this is the channel section here, which needs a bit of a tidy up, but basically I've measured back, and as you can see there, I've got my center. And what I now need to do is replicate this angle from there sort of across there to follow the drawbar. Yeah, and then cut it so it'll weld underneath and sort of run on the same angle. So I've done that with, excuse the sun, this puppy here. And that replicates it, so I'm going to use that to mark this piece of steel, and hopefully it'll fit on. I haven't got my little cameraman today because he's decided to take off and hang out with his cousins during the school holidays, so I'm going to be doing this myself. Alright, she's all cut, ready to go. I've run over it with a sandpaper wheel and a wire brush wheel, tidied it up, and put some copper spray on it, or weld through primer, just because this bit's going to be tucked away where you can't paint it once we've welded it. So we're going to let that dry. I'm going to have some lunch while I'm waiting, and line it up, weld it on. Alright, copper spray's dried now. So I've centered this gas bottle beam there, and I've run a line down from the front of the drawbar, and done the same on that side, and I've measured it front to back both sides, and they're within 2mm, so that's good enough for me. I'm going to throw some weld on it. Okay, this is finally welded in. Gee, I had to have a few attempts at it because I've seriously forgotten how to weld. It's been a long time, but we finally managed to dial it in. So we'll just flip it over and give you a look at the other side. Okay, that's the top of it, all welded in. So the next thing is to sort out the front of the drawbar. We've got to put some 40mm flat bar in between that gap there, and then put that 100 by 50 on the top, and I've got to figure out how to get it properly centered, which is going to be a little bit difficult with everything on angles. So right, we'll have a shot at that now. Okay, we need to sit this thing on top, and I've just gone and measured on our Caravan. What I want to know is how far out does that sit? And bearing in mind, on our Caravan they've cut this flat, which I'm not going to do, but the amount it's out is 40 mil. Now that would make sense because we're using this 40 by mil R5 flat bar in the middle there, which we're going to weld in, and then that's going to have a hole in it for the safety chain to bolt to. So I might even take it out so it just sits a little bit further than that. It doesn't matter because we're not putting a brake unit on it. And yeah, we'll see where we go from there. Lined up and tacked in. I've looked at it from all angles. I've tried measuring it, but I think I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm pretty happy with it. I have measured sort of along here to here on both sides, and it is identical and it looks really straight, so I think we're just going to solid weld that in, and then we'll put the 40 mil in after we've done that. Alright, it's the next day. Finally got some sun. Much nicer. Now I've cut the supports off, and now the advantage of building this thing on the bench is I can put it up on the correct angles to weld everything in the way I want it. So I just want to tidy up these welds under there. I'm not happy with those, so I'm going to sort of grind them out and do them again. And again, the sun might not be helping us here. Yeah, you can see here where it's, those are welded on, they're finished welds. So I'll have another crack at it now and continue tidying it up. Alright, it's another day later. Yesterday I didn't quite get everything done that I wanted to. So I've finished this part of the drawbar now, which doesn't look like a lot, but it's taken quite a long time. So we've welded this piece in here where the safety chain bolts in. And here, these welds here are actually triple passes. So I put 3 passes in and filled in other bits and pieces as well, so it's really, really strong, but I hate the look of it, so I've ground down the top of it to make it a bit nicer.
Smooth.
It is smooth. The hole underneath of this thing is welded as well, and we've got the gas bottle support in. And
where's the gas bottle ring?
Gas ring's over there in the workshop, but I'm not going to put it on until I've welded the drawbar onto the Caravan, because I want to run some string lines.
Is this going to be nicer than the original drawbar that's on the Caravan currently?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm not going to put that on because I want to run some string lines to try and get this thing centered, and that's just going to be in the way. So, yeah, so look, that's probably going to be enough for this video. It's well over the 20 minutes that we like to keep it at. So we'll end this one here, and in the next one we're gonna finish this thing and have it on the Caravan. So there goes our compressor that turns on every time we fill. The next thing I'm going to do is build the jockey wheel for it, and I'm going to build that while this is still off the Caravan, so I can flip it around and get nice angles to weld on. Then we'll line it up properly on the drawbar, make sure everything still fits and it hasn't moved, which it shouldn't have. And then once that's done, then we'll cut the old drawbar off. So we'll catch you on the next one.